everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about 3-digit numbers minus 1-digit numbers using subtraction with borrowing. And we're going to talk about what you're supposed to do when your tens place and your ones place both have zeros. So the first example that we're going to look at is 500 minus 4. Notice how I lined up the place value. The 4 only is 1 digit, so I'm going to line it up in the ones column, okay? So first thing we do is we start with the ones place. We need to see if I can do 0, take away 4. So I'm going to hold up 0 fingers. Okay, now I'm going to take away 4. I have nothing to take away, so I cannot do 0 minus 4, and you always have to go top to bottom, so that means I will have to borrow. So because I have 3-digit number up on top, hundreds, tens, and ones, I'm going to make my hundreds, tens, and ones chart off to the side so I can see what's happening. Hundreds, tens, and ones. First thing I need to do is write down how many hundreds I have. Because there is a 5 in my hundreds place, it means I have 5 hundreds. So I'm going to write down 5 hundreds, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Okay. I have no tens because there's a 0 in the tens place. And I also have no ones because there's a 0 in the ones place. So this is the hundreds, tens, and one chart that shows a number 500. Okay. Remember, our goal is to get numbers in the ones place so that I can have enough to take away 4. But you need to have numbers in the tens place in order to borrow for the ones place. So we're going to take it one place value at a time. Remember, you can't jump place values. You're going to start with the hundreds, jump to the tens, and then once you have tens, then you can borrow for the ones. So we'll start just by borrowing 100 into the tens. So I'll circle 100, show my arrow that it's moving over to the tens. Remember from the last video that 10 tens is 100, and we can check that again by counting by tens. We wanted to know how many tens I need to have 100. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So that's 10 tens equals 100. So that means I need to write down 10 tens in my tens column. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So that was 10 tens, and I'll cross out this 100 because it's not there anymore since I took it from the hundreds, brought it to the tens. Remember from the last video, I know we want ones in the ones place, but first thing we need to do whenever we borrow from any place value, we need to stop and we need to show what we just did over on our numbers before we move forward. Okay, so first thing, let's figure out how many hundreds I now have. 1, 2, 3, 4, which makes sense because I had 5 and I took away 100. So now I have 400. In my tens place, I had no tens, so that's why there was a 0 there. But now I took 100, brought it to the tens, and that was 10 tens. So now I need to cross out this 0 and write a 10. And we can always count our tens to make sure that it's 10 tens, okay? Now that we've shown that on our numbers, shown what we've done, now I can move over to the next place value. Now I can move over to borrowing for the ones. So I'll circle one of the tens, show my arrow that I'm moving it over to the ones. And remember, I can't just write a 10. It's now in the ones place, so I need to break it up into ones. And 10 ones equals 10. So I'll show that like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'll cross out that 10 because it's not there anymore since I just brought it over to the ones. Now over on my numbers, I need to show what I did. So instead of having 10 tens anymore, I took one away. So I had 10 tens. I took one away since I brought it to the ones. That means now I have 9 tens. And you can always count your tens to make sure. So now I'm going to cross out the 10 I'm going to turn it into a 9 since I now have 9 tens. Now I'm going to look at my ones place. Remember, we didn't have any ones at all when we started. And then we took that 10, brought it over, so now we have 10 ones. So I'm going to cross out the 0, and I'm going to write a 10. Okay? Now I have enough ones where I can borrow and where I can subtract 4 from 10. So I'll do 10, take away 4. So 10, take away 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 6. Okay, so 10 take away 4 is 6 in my ones place. Now I can move to the tens place. 9 take away 0, because there are no other numbers here. So just 9 take away 0 is 9. Now I can move to my hundreds place. So 4 take away 0 is just 4, so I can write down 4. And my answer should be 496. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this. I'm going to write an example for you to do. And once I write that down, I would like you to pause the video. And I would like you to try this example on your own. And when you're ready, play the video again so we can talk about it. All right, the one I would like you to try is 600 minus 3. Go ahead and pause your video now and play it again when you're ready. Okay, hopefully you played the video now. So we're going to start by seeing if we can subtract the ones place, since we always start with the ones place. Okay, so it looks like 0 minus 3. So let's hold up 0 fingers. Okay, and now let's take away 3 from that. I can't do that because I have no numbers to take away from. So I'm going to need to borrow. So that means I'll make my hundreds, tens, and ones chart. I'll fill in how many hundreds I have. There's a 6 in the hundreds place. That means I have 6 hundreds. 1, 200, 300, 400s, 500, and 600. I have a 0 in my tens place, so that means I have no tens, and I have a 0 in my ones place, so that means I have no ones as well. So no tens and no ones, okay? Remember, our goal is to have numbers in our ones place, but we can't just take from the hundreds and bring it right to the ones, because then we'd be drawing 100 ones, which would be a lot of ones, and we don't need to work with all that. It would just get too confusing. So we can take from the hundreds, bring it to the tens first. So I'm going to circle 100, show my arrow that it's going to the tens. Remember, 10 tens is 100, so I'm going to write out 10 tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and I'll cross out that 100 because it's not there anymore since I moved it to the tens. Now, before we do anything to the ones, I know we'll get there. You need to stop and pause, show what you did on your numbers so that it makes more sense before you borrow to the next place value as well. So I do not have 600s anymore. I did have 600s and I took away 100. So now I have 500s in my chart. I started with 0 tens, but then since I took 100 and brought it over, I now have 10 tens in my tens place. So I'll cross out the 0, make it a 10, and that's all we've done so far. Remember that we still can't subtract in our ones place, and we need to start with the ones place. So we're going to need to stop where we are from our numbers and go back to our chart to show what we're doing, okay? I will need to borrow a 10, so I'll circle a 10. Show my arrow over to the ones place, and then I'll write 10 ones in my ones column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I will cross out that 10 because it's not there anymore since I just moved it over to the ones place. Okay, remember I started with 10 tens in that tens place, and I just took a 10 away. So now I have 9 tens in my tens place. So instead of a 10, we will need to cross it out again and make it a 9 because now I have 9 tens, okay? And because I had nothing in my ones place, and then I took a 10 and brought it over, what I have now is 10 ones. So 10 above the ones place. Now I have enough ones where I can take away 3. So 10, take away 3. 1, 2, 3 is 7. So 10 minus 3 is 7. I'll write that in my ones place. Now I can move over to the tens place. So 9, take away 0 is just 9. So I'll write that in my tens place. And now I'll move over to the hundreds place. So 5, take away 0 is just 5. So I'll write that in my hundreds place. And now you have your answer of 597.